It's darkest before the dawn, but you don't need to do this alone. No, you don't. Cause when you get this close, you can feel the heat. Now you're so afraid of what's underneath. Oh,
I'm not sure where this song is going, Valdez.
even if it hurts.
I kind of want to hear the end of it, but it's I'm sure there are lots of directions we could go, but the directions we have gone are on your screen right now. GuMiho taking out INnoVation, but then INnoVation fighting his way back to face GuMiho once again, setting up for a sick revenge match.
I know a lot of those INnoVation fans out there are hoping that he can make it through into the round of 8 this time and not be slapped down by the likes of guys like Alive. He gets through Alive, but now he has to get revenge on GuMiho, who did look quite solid against this Terran player. So curious to see how this is going to go down. Both of these players are having a really rough time of choosing the maps. I saw them in the makeup room trying to decide on maps. GuMiho had his head in his hands. He's like, oh, what should I go for? So I'm really curious about the map pool to this series.
It's going to look a little bit different this time around, I'm sure. They've had a chance to feel each other out, played that best of 3. INnoVation, I want to say, really good at living up to his name when it comes to adapting and saying, okay, we've done this once before. This time around, I know what to watch out for. When he played versus Alive, every time that he faced something that did a lot of damage to him, figured it out, never happened again. So, want to see whether or not GuMiho still has some tricks in his bag of builds, or whether or not INnoVation is just way too solid. We're about to find out as we get into game number 1 on Ascension to Iron, our final match of the night, INnoVation versus GuMiho.
Code S.
And here we are on Ascension to Ire, along with
Psystorm Gaming, GuMiho.
Oh, it's meeting you here. Imagine a player being in the game.
And on the opposing side, a guy who is proxying in the middle of the map.
INnoVation.
INnoVation's running out of battery. He's running low. A double proxy in the middle. All right, well, this is the way INnoVation wants to do it. I would have expected this more against Alive, but we didn't see that. Now it's his turn to do it against GuMiho.
Alive was scouting like crazy, and okay, here we go. I was surprised that GuMiho wasn't scouting yet at all, but he's going to throw out his first SCV, and the reason that INnoVation puts it in the middle instead of closer by is because this location is just found out, right? The Terrans love to put it in that one location, and that's why GuMiho goes and scouts there, and then goes immediately to INnoVation's
Now,
base.
if I recall correctly, this Xel'Naga does not scout it. Yeah, it doesn't reach there, so he hits the wrong Xel'Naga tower. Of course, it's the one closest to the scouting path, but INnoVation has just got everything planned out, and GuMiho should recognize, should know about this, because when they played most recently outside of GSL, INnoVation tried this exact same strategy. Proxy 2-raxed him. Granted, it was on Acolyte, but he gets into the base in time to see there's no barracks there. Insta-cancel on the expansion.
He's even committing to a bunker, because with the build that he chose, he did not get that factory up in due time. So it's going to be later. Needs that bunker to play it safe, rather. And here comes the trading.
I think INnoVation's micro was worse on his Reaper. Yeah, he took an extra hit or two, so he has to run away, and wow, great defense already.
Doesn't even get up into the main, doesn't scout anything, doesn't know about the bunker. And in fact, he's sending everything home. So I think he's kind of given up on trying to do much more damage after that.
I wonder if given the lift on one of... Oh, wow.
Pause.
This is where we expel him because he typed OP instead of PP. I believe back in the day, back in the old Brood War Kespa years, you used to have to type PPP if you wanted to pause. And I forget who it was. It was either like Pusan or Gameo or GG Play. I don't know, one of those guys. there was really harsh punishments if you didn't type the right thing, because what happened was Boxer used to type while he was cheesing, and then he would run up your ramp, and now thankfully there are rules against that, and you are in general not allowed to have conversations. But that's neither here nor there. INnoVation's just like, error, proxy did not work.
It's like, there must be something wrong with the computer, because there can't be something wrong with mine. I just updated it.
He just needs to recharge a little bit, but unfortunately, just like me and my new cell phone, he runs on USB-C, and absolutely nowhere has a charger for that, so that just doesn't work for him. We'll see what the problem is for INnoVation and whether or not he can get everything recharged. I actually need a little bit of a recharge myself. Today has actually been a really long day.
Yeah.
I've had super long games.
So apparently his mouse stopped working, and they need to check that. So if you don't have a mouse, you can't play StarCraft.
Yeah, in general, you got to bring your mouse along. I know several times there are stories of players who have come to tournaments and either their mouse has been like stolen, or they lose their mouse, or it breaks or something. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh well, what do I do? And maybe you have a friend that can lend you a mouse, but there's just nothing as intimately connected to a pro gamer as the implements that they use to control their units. So very important that he has that ready to go.
AfreecaTV left the game. Thankfully, it's not one of our players over there.
This is where we regame INnoVation proxies a second time, and he's like, okay, I'll do it right this time. I figured it out.
But I think INnoVation would probably not proxy in the second one, and GuMiho would probably scout.
Yeah, he just literally zigzags around perfectly. And it's like,
yeah.
I think it will be there.
I don't want to say it too loud because INnoVation has his earphones off, but we did see one of GuMiho's SCVs in kind of a wonky spot. I think, as we've been seeing with this kind of proxy versus defense, is like the defending player usually tries to proxy a starport. It happened 2 out of 2 times today. And I wouldn't be surprised if GuMiho tries to do it himself.
Well, especially, since INnoVation's been the direct recipient of that, it's like, okay, well, this is what happens afterwards. So he has done it twice before, and I have to keep our ears.
Yeah, don't say it too loud.
Very quiet. Be very, very quiet. The rascal INnoVation is listening.
But INnoVation he had 3 Reapers on the map, and he was like scouting every single corner, so I think he'll eventually see that, which means that we will have a different game to what we are used to, at least from today, which is the starport not getting scouted out and actually doing a bit of damage. So it should turn into a bit of an evener one.
A more arrest evenist.
Yeah.
I think so, too. I hope so. I just want to see straight-up games from these guys. I know INnoVation does not. He's trying for these proxies that may not work. Maybe. So here's the real mind game. You ready for this, Valdez?
Yeah.
You go for the proxy because you know that GuMiho's response to the proxy after he holds is to proxy himself. Then you send the 3 Reapers to kill the proxy ahead. Boom.
And you stop his expansion. And at the end of the day, you have more Reapers that you can use to harass,
I figured it out, guys.
defense your bases. I think that's, in a way, potentially what he's trying to do, especially because of the position of the proxy. It's right in the middle of the map. It's not super close. It's not very risky. And so he's like, I'm not actually going to get damage done here. He probably knows that, and he's like, okay, I'll just, force your hand, essentially. I think you might be onto something, Rapid.
I got it figured out. I downloaded the same code that INnoVation did. Actually did shake his hand earlier today.
What?
I got to go ladder.
Really?
Yeah, he walked in the door right after
man.
Right after I got back from the 2 breaks ago. It's like, good job. He just looked at me and it's like, then I said it in Korean.
And then he extended his hand and he said, "Rapid, you're my favorite caster."
How did you know about that?
English.
You weren't even there. Big fan. All right, well, it does look like we're going to try to get back into here and resume from that point in the game so that, there's nothing too wacky that happened with the mouse. I think we should be resuming from there, and it looks like, okay, we're going to set the point that we want to resume from.
234.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of fairness? It's
The game was paused at 2:40.
Yeah.
So
we're going to rewind a little bit. The
6
INnoVation's
seconds.
like trying to figure out what's going on. And once we do resume from that replay, we'll get both players back into the game and just go ahead that way.
Yeah. This is
I remember
just adding more tension to the GuMiho
Yeah.
INnoVation rematch.
All right, both players already totally agreed to this. They're willing to rewind just a little bit before INnoVation was feeling the mouse issues. So everybody is in agreement. They were actually pretty drastic, but we should be able to resume from exactly where we left off. So beautiful technology. We do have the technology this time. Both of our players are ready, so we should be able to get right back into the game. We're 2 minutes and 34 seconds into it, and here we go.
The Reapers are out on the map, scouting, as we said. No starport is going to come down, but this SCV will be left to live.
Did he not see that? I think he saw it and doesn't want to like give up the information. So we're coming back in. Obviously, INnoVation's mouse is now working and the game can continue normally. I really do want to see if GuMiho is going to go for the proxy there. I'm guessing no.
I think he's looking for buildings, you know? Maybe it was just on the edge of his Reaper's vision and he didn't attack it, and it will actually get by and into the main and scout the follow-up. So GuMiho with a lot of very nice follow-up scouting information.
No, sorry, SCV, you don't get to be that jerk this time. Not going to get in there for any damage, but gonna sack one of the barracks, or at least get in for a scout of his own. So turnabout fair play there. They get the chance to see what each other are up to, and I think the game should stabilize from this point. No player like drastically behind, but I just want to say, okay, maybe the army count is the one true advantage, but INnoVation with the vastly more mobile Reapers is actually going to come in here and maybe put on some pressure.
Although this Hellion, he saw the Reapers going across the map, and he stops the CC from building.
Cheeky Hellion. He's actually going to get... Wait, there's nothing in INnoVation's base.
Cyclone pops out.
There we go.
Wants to keep that SCV alive, and he will.
Yeah, wants to get another full scout, and sees pretty much exactly the same things he saw before. Does delay the command center a little bit, so I guess you can give him that advantage.
Funny that GuMiho's going for his own Banshee. Of course, he's not going to go for Cloak because he sees the starport with the Tech Lab on it, so he knows the potential for that Raven.
Yeah, I feel like both players know the potential there after INnoVation had to tap out because he didn't have any detection. He's just going to go keep it safe and sound this time around. Getting some nice mind bounces, decent control on these Reapers. I love how players, especially at this caliber, are able to turn maybe disadvantages from the proxy Reapers not working into, making them work, being annoying, still making them useful during the game.
Yeah, 4 Reapers is an awkward number where perhaps he didn't want to make that many Reapers, but you can still do a little bit of harass damage. Oh, this Raven scouts it. Turn around, buddy.
What?
Error.
Yeah. I guess maybe he's just saying, okay, well, I'll let it go because I can defend back in my base. I'll have time to react, and now I can still put on the pressure for my auto turrets.
Yeah. There's no Cloak, but one Cyclone alone is not going to be enough to defend this. If he wanted to, he could commit, but wants to keep that Banshee alive, so does move back.
I think just like the Reapers later on, he's just going to pull that one back in. Okay, yeah. Yes, indeed he is going to pull it back in, but no, it's not going to be in time. Sorry. On the other side, I believe the Raven, see, did that come all the way back home, or is it going to go in for auto? Yeah, it did make its way all the way back home. Okay, that's what it was. But once again, not needed for detection. Both players getting into their macro mode, though, so this game is going to extend to at least the mid-game.
Double engineering bay for both of these guys. The stim is a little bit faster for GuMiho, but the engineering bay is faster for INnoVation. Just slightly. Shouldn't be too big of a deal as long as GuMiho starts those upgrades right away. Is looking for some units out actually on the corners of the maps of this one for GuMiho. Is going to scout that orbital coming on over. Knows the timing of that. Very nicely done.
All right, so this is Ascension to Ire, as we were talking about earlier. The last time these guys played, INnoVation actually they played on this map outside of GSL, qualify that. INnoVation actually did take the game, and it was because of a big Doom drop that GuMiho didn't react to. So you're like, okay, well, I guess you get to win that way once, maybe not a second time. But the opener to this game, very, very reminiscent of the last time that INnoVation tried it. Didn't get any damage done, and now it resets the game pretty much, but with GuMiho on a slight advantage. Oh, is he going to throw the mines down from the high ground and try to delay that way? That would be pretty cheeky.
He is mirroring these units, but he's going to lose one more Reaper. Gets away with a sliver of health. GuMiho wants to put on pressure at this third base. Yep. He got his a little bit later, but sees the potential for, you know, some movements out on the map.
Tanks are sieged up. Oh, not going to be able to take out that Raven. There's the stem. Does take it out, and that's going to be a big pickoff. No auto turrets to keep INnoVation's tanks occupied.
Here's the drop. No sensor tower just yet. And there is one turret being made in the main.
GuMiho goes right now. That might not be up in time, but it looks like that hesitation will result in INnoVation having sealed off his base for now. GuMiho's going to pull back.
Yeah, so should have a bit of a lull here as both of these players are picking up their upgrades. GuMiho was able to catch up on the 1-1. The double Raven is really interesting from INnoVation. You don't see that all too often in this one.
I do love myself a little bit of a lull. Possibly a micro lull, maybe an omega lull. There's a few different kinds out there, but these kinds are ours. Sensor tower coming up, INnoVation going into lockdown mode. He's just saying, look, I know if I get what I need, I can win with it. So making sure that that's possible. Instead, GuMiho wants the pressure from the other side. That's why he's coming over there with the Cyclones, coming over there with his drops. INnoVation does react and pull right towards the area he needs to be in. The boosted,
Marine.
Sick Marine Scout totally stops, drops in its tracks.
He's still going for it.
Oh, okay, yeah, he scans ahead of time. There's not a lot there, but turns around.
Yeah. INnoVation taking this time, though. He knows those drops are out on the map. He's moving towards the middle. GuMiho still looking for an opportunity here to drop down as he goes for that, but INnoVation is set up back at home.
Nice siege there. Or the depot, rather, just there to buffer. It's taken out. He zooms out and is safe for now. Wow.
GuMiho's macro definitely kicking in a good way. He, with this pressure, is going to secure an earlier fourth base and just has more stuff right now. He's still like 30 supply ahead. He never got the +2 armor.
He got 3. One of those eBays is not upgrading, right?
Yeah.
But he's still getting 2 upgrades. No, I was looking at the wrong player. Man, this swapped players on either side is really throwing me off here.
Pops him in.
Yeah. INnoVation actually about to finish his 2-2 upgrades. Ooh. That's going to be a big advantage. Oh, just barely. GuMiho scouting out INnoVation's drop. He immediately stops, drops, and rolls over GuMiho's forces, maybe? Yeah, he's got a higher Marine count. The DPS, and he's going to sandwich him from the other side!
Takes out that entire army. Definitely a nice little chunk shaved off of what GuMiho had as a lead in this one.
Yeah, now don't get it twisted. GuMiho is still with a massive army supply advantage, just not quite as bigly as it was before. We'll siege up here on the steps. Perhaps the steps of war. Glad we don't get the chance to see that map
That map
anymore.
was about as big as this,
yeah,
little hill we got here in the middle here. That was steps of war, for you guys who are curious.
Both players really trying to push the other off of this chunk of map. This is literally the hill that they are choosing to die on. The air advantage, though, I would say goes to the Ravens, but GuMiho, because he does have the larger army supply, knows that he can afford to split his army up and go for a stem on the other side. It's going to catch this command center right as INnoVation wants to float it out.
Yeah, again, INnoVation's being really good with the one Marine that he's sending to spot these drops. You were talking about the way in which INnoVation lost to GuMiho in the past, and, well, you gotta stop the Doom drops. He knows what GuMiho loves to do. GuMiho is continuously just kept these units in the medevacs, looking for opportunities for drops.
Now, this time around, it's actually GuMiho who's going to be kicking into his +2 upgrade, finally getting that shield.
The siege on the high ground is so much better for INnoVation. Stims on in. He's dropping units into their death. GuMiho with a big mistake, and the auto turret's coming down too. He's going to take out almost everything.
No, he's not even going to be safe when he runs back onto the high ground. INnoVation just crushing everything. And oh my God, this is so reminiscent of the last series they played in, I think it was, I forget the name of the tournament, Coliseum. Yeah, either way, it was an epic best-of-5, and ultimately, INnoVation actually lost because he tried to go into a Doom drop, but he Doom dropped right after GuMiho, and he wound up doing the same thing in reverse. But now, Karma kicking in, and it's INnoVation who's better set up and just eats GuMiho's drop alive.
And notice that INnoVation knows the follow-up. He defends both the drops at his 2 bases while he goes for the big push. Coming in, stimming onto those tanks. GuMiho's Marines taking big hits in that fight. Look at that tank line, 13-3 right now in tanks. How does he do it?
Without even trying. Absolutely incredible. I mean, INnoVation now up at max supply. He's just got more of everything. Siege Tank's actually a little bit far back, but he just has so many Marines, he can afford to roll over GuMiho's tanks.
Not fighting with his tanks. Doesn't even need to at this point. Finally is going to move forward, trying to get this concave of Marines, but it's not enough as the tanks do siege.
INnoVation might have done it. He's crushed GuMiho, pushed him back, forced the liftoff on the base. There's not enough. It's INnoVation taking out GuMiho.
Yeah, wins in game number 1 here and begins a very fun series. That was back and forth. INnoVation trying to go for a pretty crazy proxy. Well, I guess it's not that crazy, but kind of normal nowadays, but doesn't work out. And we go into GuMiho having a pretty nice lead, but one small mistake with their medevacs, with their positioning, and you can lose a game like this.
It feels like it's game 2 after having to come back into the game, but wow, turns out all INnoVation needs is a functioning mouse.
Funny the way that works.
Indeed it is. We're going to head into game number 2 now, and this one is on Odyssey. Now, Odyssey, very, very popular map. It was actually, I believe, the map that INnoVation was able to really find purchase on the last time these two guys played. I'm referencing that series a lot. You should go back and watch that, but after you watch them play here, because this is for all the marbles. If INnoVation takes this map on Odyssey, it will be his turn to get revenge on GuMiho for revenge on, I guess, the round of 16, and finally advance on further. GuMiho, a GSL champion. INnoVation saying, well, you had your chance. It's my turn now. Or is it, Valdez?
Well, the map is loading up. Looks like we're ready to jump into this one.
Fight.
INnoVation looking for that 2-0.
2017
GuMiho wanting to fight back. Jumping into
GSL
game number 2.
Season 3, Code S.
Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Odyssey, it is
Storm Gaming, GuMiho.
He's also blue. He's also Terran. So I throw those details in. And there he is. Does need to pull it back here against his opponent.
In the top left, in the red.
INnoVation.
INnoVation. We make jokes about this all the time, and I know it's like, TAE, INnoVation's a robot, lol. But he really is beginning to download this player. Like, just the way that he goes for the proxy and immediately doesn't work. He abandons plan, and he's like, what is the next logical step for GuMiho?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a proxy. Let me find that. Denies that, and then throughout the mid and late game in that last one, didn't really go to the super late game, but you guys know what I mean. He just always had spotting units for the Doom drops, and it was just the one thing that GuMiho was trying over and over and over again to try to get a big lead in the game, but INnoVation didn't let it happen even once. There was no big, very, successful drop that got a lot of harassment damage, that got INnoVation out of position, And on a big map like that, where there are lots of different angles to come from, he did it very successfully. It didn't even happen one time. So I feel like INnoVation, to an extent, did download GuMiho's style of going for those big drops, for going for those big counter plays, and trying to pull INnoVation out of position. The question is GuMiho going to change it up and try to, play more of a standard straight up, like I'm going to siege up and get better position in the middle of the map and go towards the later game, or will he continue to play into INnoVation's hands?
Well, keep in mind, the first time these guys played here tonight, it was actually INnoVation that played into GuMiho's hands over and over again. GuMiho just really had his number, culminating in the last game where GuMiho's Cloak Banshee just totally dominated and forced INnoVation to GG. Well, now, like you mentioned, Brendan, INnoVation has had a chance to react to this, and these 2 Reapers coming out, 2 is in fact greater than 1.
For now, when 2 meets his nemesis 2 on the map, and they go head-to-head.
Every math teacher out there is just like, wow, I guess you can learn from a game like this.
The story writes itself. All right.
Indeed it does. This is just not going to be an exciting early game, guys. Sorry. This is where, if we were Tastosis, we would make funny animal noises, and it would be instantly clipped. DAE, best casters ever. Unfortunately, the luxury is not ours, so we just have to do things like talk about, what's actually happening.
Okay. Somehow INnoVation snuck out a couple of extra Marines out on the map, so GuMiho's like, nope, I don't want any of this.
It's impossible. The build is airtight. You can't possibly fit any more Marines. And INnoVation says, yes, I can. I just have to build perfectly. So he does. Unfortunately, Marines are just not as good as Reapers, so the superior number now on GuMiho's side. It's so hard to do this with the labels at the top in the opposite places than the players spawn, but we can do it. We're professional. We're professionals. We can assign colors to player names. That's going to work eventually.
Yeah. Just got to remember GuMiho's coming up from the top right.
So
similar to game 1.
Yeah, and perfect positioning there. Ready to go. I love the bunker. INnoVation did commit to it. Okay, wow. Really giving a lot of respect to this push. I guess GuMiho has found interesting timings to punish INnoVation for in previous games. I feel like because this map is not something along the lines of like Acolyte or another one of those big macro maps, then there is an opportunity to go for this push, but INnoVation throws down the respect bunker. He's even willing to pull SCVs to repair, and looks pretty solid for now.
Yeah, he was kind of overreacting. Our observer was overreacting to the overreaction. He's like, oh man, look at how many SCVs he's pulling. And in fact, he was really taking his care with those pushes. GuMiho so far is getting the better of all these micro trades we have early on in this game.
It looks like GuMiho might actually decide to transition from the front, where that bunker is there defending, to the main. Marines inside the bunker and take siege. It's all not going to be very mobile. One Viking could push back the medevac, but there's a bunch on the ground that INnoVation might not be able to deal with.
Cancel it.
What? Oh, wow, that's really going to be costly. And even an auto turret committed just to pushing this out. INnoVation, somewhat remarkably careless.
Yeah, you can see he committed to the Viking early on, which is not going to be a fantastic battle unit against those units that GuMiho got into the main with. So he was kind of just floating there awkwardly, like, I guess I'll attack the medevac once. But didn't have time to land that. But definitely the big mistake is not canceling there. That's a lot of minerals, 400, that just essentially go down the drain. GuMiho has total map control. In the meantime, he takes his own third base at location, as INnoVation has to rebuild his own CC.
Man, I don't know if INnoVation's going to be able to hold this, Valdez. Just look at the army supply right now at a time where it really does matter. Almost doubling up his opponent. This is a perfect location to siege in. We've seen GuMiho do this time and time again. It's within range of the bunker, it's within range of those mineral patches, and it's going for a drop at the same time. Double Cyclone, going to force maybe another cancel, maybe another kill.
The Viking just flying by saying, I don't care about those Cyclones. I need to deal with the push in the front. And
It's INnoVation's worst nemesis. The Cyclone's killing his workers.
It's Cyclone 2, the return of the Cyclone.
Dropping on the siege tanks at the front door as well, forcing an unsiege. And will he be able to mass repair in time? No, it's not enough. GuMiho! GG taking game number 2 just like that.
Wow, just micro trade after micro trade gets GuMiho way far ahead, and another one of those small, like early to mid-game pushes that just totally tore INnoVation apart. He faltered at literally every step, and GuMiho with fantastic timings on the attacks for when he was moving into the main, getting that kill on the CC, the tanks getting into position, the medevac doing a lot more than the one Viking that INnoVation had, so very interesting. We are going to be moving into Whirlwind for our final map of the night. A very big one. Large map here.
Well, maybe this will give a player on Storm a advantage playing on a Whirlwind. I don't know about that. It's going to be hard to find an advantage against INnoVation. He did lose that early game advantage, and GuMiho just really looking for any chance to get ahead. In the end, it all comes down to this. One final game determines whether a GSL champion will advance in GuMiho, the defending GSL champion, or whether a GSL champion from the days of yore, INnoVation, gets a chance to advance to the round of 8.
Fight! 2017 Hot 6, GSL Season 3, Code S.
In the blue for the final time tonight, as a Terran player, he is
Storm Gaming, GuMiho.
Spans are going nuts in the crowd. Staying here until all hours of the night. It's 10:15 currently in Korea. Down here in the bottom left, his opponent in the red.
INnoVation.
Also has his fair share of fans, no doubt.
absolutely, and really this should show you not only just how good both of these players are, but a lot of times you'll just look at brackets, or you'll, in the looking through record sites, or if you go to stat sites or whatever, you see where players end up in tournaments. And I think a lot of times people want to extrapolate a little bit too much from that. Like, well, this player hasn't made it into a round of 16, for a long time. I'm like, well, yeah, but look at who he played. Like, this is just an insane bracket. So regardless of what happens here, I mean, this could easily be the final of anything. Just so insane to see so much skill on display for us here tonight.
Yeah, it's funny that one best of three at the end of it all has to decide which one of these ridiculous Terran players has to make it up to the next round, but that's the way it works. I mean, you make it into the final match. GuMiho can't quite close it out against a Zerg player, so he's forced into this rematch. And
looks
again,
like
we do have a mouse issue for INnoVation.
Continuing to struggle with those peripherals. Might need to bring backup mouse number 2 along with him. Then you look over to his computer, he has both mice plugged in at the same time. He's got half his hand microing one mouse, the other half on the other.
I wonder if that would be allowed.
Well, I don't think most games support dual mice in them. There were a couple of top-down shooters that I remember playing that you could play 2 players on one computer with 2 mice. But in general, that is just not something you expect. I think we can make it happen for INnoVation, though.
Well, we got the whole team of refs over there.
Whoa.
Getting into the booth.
Like, you're only allowed 1 mouse issue per game. I'm sorry, you'll have to play with no mouse.
Looks like he's okay. Like, it seems like it's ready to go. I don't think this will be a recover from replay moment.
No, these 2 seconds matter.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well.
Probably.
I like how many buttons INnoVation's sweater has.
Yeah, he could be a Final Fantasy character if those were belts.
Well, he needs at least 5 more of those in order to qualify.
Definitely not enough.
GuMiho, he's got his GSL pin.
That is true. I believe INnoVation does not have a pin. Did they give those pins retroactively?
I think they should. I think he should have a pin. It would be weird if he didn't.
Is he not wearing his GSL pin? I actually have a GSL pin. It's not one of those GSL pins. It's I think it's an Artanis or something.
Oh, yeah.
Much more common.
Just a simple, plain, common Artanis pin. Not the holographic GSL champion pin.
I am definitely not a GSL champion, Valdez, but the true winners here are the fans, so they can all be champions if they want.
As they always are.
Looks like the players are prepping to get ready to go. They do both seem ready. Let's see if they reply with a yes. Well, they said yes in Korean, in English.
Yeah.
So here we go.
SP.
Yeah, it looks like INnoVation's mouse is good to go. So is GuMiho's, and we are not going to regame or reload or anything. Just going to hit the unpause and continue with our final match of the night.
Okay, here we go. The early scout from INnoVation up to the top left with the same builds going for both players. Just no scout for GuMiho. Feels a bit more confident that INnoVation won't go for any crazy proxy on a map this large.
He would never do it here. Also, if you do go for a proxy here, a lot of times you have to go for one of those 66% chance proxies where you don't fully scout. You just assume and hope that he's on one side of the map or another.
Or you put it in the middle, and it's not really a proxy. It's just like a little bit closer, and then you have to over-scout to get the right location unless you get lucky.
So one other option for proxies is that you'll send out your scouting SCV, and whether the time that you find the opponent at determines what your proxy is. So if you scout them first and find them, then you proxy barracks. Scout them second, that's proxy factory. Scout them third, it's proxy Stargate. Just depending on how it lines up with your build. But no proxies allowed. It's going to be a straight up game, and I love watching these. If I could watch GuMiho and INnoVation as the last two players on Earth play over and over again, it's just going to be so sick. And I know it's a mirror match, and maybe there's some fans out there that don't like mirror matches, but you just have to experience like just the greatness of watching two, if not the two greatest premier Terrans around right now duke it out.
Especially with the mix-up like this, as GuMiho is going into a second barracks to start. Reactor on the first one. Wonder if he'll go for a tech lab on the second one and try to pump out some early Marines for a push. Even throws down his engineering bay pretty early on. I think he's looking for a timing with Stim and +1 to, potentially drop INnoVation out of this series.
Could be absolutely possible. INnoVation just went for the 1-1-1. Of course, with an Expo thrown in there. And so he might have more advanced tech for now, but when it comes to just numbers of units, and especially running up right into a Cyclone, does take a loss. This is the push that GuMiho feels like, or I feel like GuMiho is at the most success with. Just catches INnoVation, just barely too few units.
Yeah, and it's been working for him in a lot of these games that he's played against INnoVation, so why not go for another variant of the same type of build? Is going to finally throw down that starport to eventually get out the medevacs. And two Cyclones are surprisingly strong against this kind of units, and getting any damage early on before the push is fantastic.
Now there is a Raven here. Is he going to try to block with an auto turret? He's trying to get ahead, but Cyclones are still pretty fast on the ground. Going for just Mass Hellion early on, I feel like is very vulnerable to this. An auto turret thrown down. INnoVation catches and swallows up GuMiho's force.
Yeah, was able to take a decent trade in the end of it all, and he forced out the auto turret, which I'm glad our observer did point out, because with the follow-up attack and auto turret, he's going to need basically everything to hold this one off, especially because he's making a bunch of Vikings already. He's really going to be relying on the position of the Vikings to stop any kind of drop play out of GuMiho.
INnoVation did take a little bit of an oh no moment there before he was able to eventually take out GuMiho's force. Just so great at defending, but
Scan
sees what's out there. Notices the two barracks, so that's really going to tell him what the possibility of units are.
That is pretty huge. Puts down a third CC in the face of it. He's confident that he can defend against this anyway.
Oh, wow. He's going to get a couple of Marine kills. Tank on the high ground. One more shot, and he will pop off those Reapers. Now, on the other side, Vikings ushering this Raven in and out again.
I love what he's doing, trying to get some extra economic harass, force GuMiho to respond to this in a way, and potentially snipe some medevacs.
Oh,
but the
Marines in the middle. They snipe the Raven. They get one Viking, two Vikings. Wow, big catch by GuMiho.
That's really cool, and I guess because he's scouted out and because he's got a lot of damage already, he's kind of going against that timing aspect of his play. He's throwing down a third command center, could still potentially try to put some harass on, but he's going to have to wait for a bit.
Both of these players really playing to their strengths for INnoVation. We saw him destroy GuMiho as soon as, or I think it was Alive, as soon as he had that air advantage. Now, it's GuMiho's turn to adapt to that. Goes for more Marines, which are really his strong unit, and catches out INnoVation's air. So, wow, just really a lot of adaptation, a lot of adjustment. GuMiho taking out the Liberator, even still with those ground Marines, ground Marines, as opposed to the air Marines, Valdez.
Yeah, ground Marines.
The jetpack Marines, you know, the step up once you upgrade the Reapers so they can fly in the air.
Now someone's going to name himself Ground Marine. We have so many names like Marine King, Hero Marine. Like, do we need more? Well, here we go.
Second Liberator, and there are no Marines there, ground or air, to stop it. It gets the pull, gets the kills, and will back off Alive. But oh man,
Vikings.
Here comes GuMiho. Are the Vikings going to scout it out? They will, but maybe just not in time. Siege tank will siege on the low ground, but one will get dropped on. Medevacs being taken out in the air. These Vikings will eliminate everything. INnoVation crushing GuMiho's drop.
What a wonky position for GuMiho. He's like, well, I've kind of dug myself my own grave right now, so I just have to do it and try to get as much damage as possible. But I really want to point out that fantastic positioning from INnoVation. He had the one tank ready right near the production. He had his SCVs ready to go. He had another tank near the ramp. He had his Vikings in position. He knows GuMiho. He knows that GuMiho's going to go for a drop. He scouted it earlier on, and he's like, okay, I just got to hold the drop. Then I can go out and take my third base with a big advantage in this one. So props to him.
This really does feel like download complete, Valdez. He's hit that Control J. He's like, oh yeah, here's a list of everything that I know about this guy just from today's series. It's basically everything. Wow. GuMiho not without tricks up his sleeve. He's able to almost kill off that Liberator in the middle of the map. He's already caught INnoVation's Air Force once, but I mean, you start to see little by little INnoVation crawling ahead. Now, GuMiho does still have the economic lead, but he's starting to drop in the army, and with two medevacs headed out across the map, INnoVation could definitely press that advantage home.
Couple of Vikings here for GuMiho are going to be good.
Will he boost through? Will he boost through? Turns around and loses one.
It's unfortunate for INnoVation. Just a little bit slow on that, but good prep as well by GuMiho. He's looking for even more value.
GuMiho with the and one, seeking out, and he shall find the Marines running away. They're going to get picked up, taken out, and Medevac will not get taken out. Will he load up and chase it? No, not going that hard. That's like the ultra try hard. It's like, no, I will chase this Medevac to the ends of the earth.
And he's adding a fourth CC2 on, pretty fast timing here. Wants to get that economy going. He knows that he needs to catch up a little bit. Did do a good job by catching the medevacs, and we do have ourselves, in terms of just numbers, a pretty even series. I like the economy a bit better of GuMiho, but the army, of course, of INnoVation. GuMiho has the earlier upgrades, though, which are going to be really important once we get fighting.
Yeah, especially if they do kick in into good timing. Now, even though you can see even numbers in the supply or the worker count, what's so, I guess, unique about the TVT matchup is that damage just happens so fast. You have huge AoE splash tank shots. You have tons of stim marines all at once. So the army count could just change by huge swells, especially if you're reactoring out. You're either building a ton or losing a ton. So don't trust those numbers too much.
Yeah, definitely have to see what you're working with rather than just looking at the numbers. GuMiho with the scan here. definitely is a interesting location to try to expand to himself, is expanding closer to INnoVation. Extremely close. I mean, those Vikings could fly over and hop down and do a bit of harass damage, but I mean, he's in range of the sensor tower. He's basically saying, come at me, bro.
Oh, there's a stim forced out. Oh my god, INnoVation. Mind controlling GuMiho there, just forcing him to lose a lot. On the other hand, you should note, and I think our observer is pointing out by toggling the production tab, is that as far as air control goes, INnoVation had it and then decided to stop producing Vikings and start getting those Liberators out. Now, neither player's gone for range, but could signal that he wants to start pressuring GuMiho with that siege, unsiege, and forcing him back.
Yeah. I like that GuMiho is pressuring while he does not have that air advantage, trying to just drag him out of control. Here come the Liberators, though.
Oh, wow, it's actually GuMiho that is the first one.
Well, look at these Vikings from the bottom. This is the real big thing. This is the secret air force of INnoVation.
Yeah, he's been building it up and is now going to spring maybe the trap, save the siege tanks, kill off a couple of Liberators. And
those are in range.
Indeed they are. Oh, no, much better siege position here for INnoVation. Kills off a tank, picking off every little bit counts.
Yeah, and GuMiho, you gotta bring everything together. You don't want to be collapsed on here, especially when you're not having the Air Force advantage. Those Liberators, and he's stimming on in. I don't know about this fight.
That's just not going to be enough. INnoVation steamrolling over GuMiho's army. It's not GG just yet, but it is a big lead for INnoVation.
He's in the sensor tower too. He sees the army. He's like, okay, I mean, I guess I can fight this one as well. GuMiho is going to back off though.
I think there's just a critical mass of error for INnoVation, and he's just going to force it across the map. I don't think GuMiho can reproduce in time. Now, he is building 6 Vikings at a time, and he has a Liberator behind this, but has INnoVation secured himself too much of an army victory?
Stimming in, picks off that Liberator, which is going to be nice. And look at this. Even one Liberator coming over here, picking off 10 SCVs. But again, I was talking about this expand location.
GuMiho is 20 workers up, so if he can play the long game, then eventually he'll come out ahead. And even just look at this air count, he's going to win the battle.
It's like down to the 2v2 Vikings, but GuMiho's making 4 at a time on these Vikings. So he has evened it up and taken the lead, 4 Vikings to 0.
Yeah, he's even making more Marines at the same time than INnoVation is. So the longer INnoVation stays here, the more valuable GuMiho's army will become, even trying to get into a great siege spot. Scans prevail. Hammering away at that fortress.
He's got a lot of scans here. No production at all from GuMiho. He's making 3 medevacs at a time now. I think he's beginning to crack a little bit under the pressure, but this is going to be a good move. The Liberator's coming in with his air control, pushing back these tanks. He saves the base, and he also has taken a 5th up towards the right side of the map, so he is a base up on INnoVation.
That is certainly very true, Valdez. Wow, what a game, what a day of games we've seen. Both of these players just really going toe-to-toe. Absolutely even series every time they match up against each other. We're just so privileged to watch just all this goodness. So, gonna see what INnoVation can do up here, trying to pressure that newly made base. Build faster. If he was Swan, then he could send all of his SCVs to help that build more quickly. Actually, I think that only helps the building of the building.
What he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Look what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring these units up towards that base.
Oh, man, catching every SCV that immediately crushes the worker count. Now, INnoVation with a higher economy.
Yeah, does have a better economy. Trying to come in here, and it looks like he's got more Vikings this time around once again.
Oh, INnoVation finds the perfect way in, crushes that base, takes out the SCVs. Now it's turned completely around. GuMiho is able to outproduce INnoVation and get himself back into the game, but now INnoVation has turned it around.
Advanced ballistics with the air control is pretty good in this matchup, I heard. And when you go for sick moves like that, where you just out maneuver your opponent, you outthink him, and get him into a disadvantageous position. It's going to be quite nice. Now he is looking to go for the throw, moving right down the middle for the siege up.
Man, if Artosis was here, these are the plays he would call. So handsome. And indeed, I don't think you can argue with that. Now INnoVation has won the air war. That means that GuMiho is going to start having to burn scans just to make sure he has siege tank parity. So many Vikings in the air. There's just actually not that many Marines on the ground either. So they've gone for a drop. That's why they're not there on the tanks. GuMiho trying to find any little advantage he can.
He's trying to claw his way back by the fingernails, and let's see if he can do it. He's got a couple of big drops going into that third, now going into the main, right onto the production. Looks like INnoVation coming back, and some tanks going down for free as he pushes into that planetary.
He does repair the planetary though, so it's going to live to stay alive a little bit longer. Also, INnoVation sniped a couple of GuMiho's dropships there, so they're going to be able to get taken out. On the other side, the planetary does finally fall. GuMiho might have run out of patience. He's pulling the boys, and GG! INnoVation advances to the round of 8. The GSL Code S.
The sting of defeat on the face of GuMiho. Man, he was close. He took out INnoVation one time and then got crushed by Solar and then went down to INnoVation, who turned out to be the better Terran at the end of the day.
Man, in the game Go, they call that one move the immaculate move, where you just so figure out your opponent and the game, your knowledge just coalesces into a brilliant victory. And I think that's an absolutely correct word to call INnoVation's win there, knowing exactly when to split GuMiho's army off, crushing that higher base, taking the economic lead, and then taking the game afterwards.
Yeah, that was an exciting one. Now, I was happy to get Whirlwind for our third game, and that game did not disappoint. So let's go ahead and get to the translation.
Heading into an interview with our final player to advance. It's INnoVation.
자, 시즌 3의 사나이죠.
So congratulations, INnoVation.
8강에 안착하게 됐는데 먼저 소감 어떠세요?
So first of all, how do you feel after that victory?
네.
So throughout those games, all the matches were really tough.
고병재 선수를 만나기도 했고 또 한희석
So now I
선수까지
still kind of feel like I'm
심리전,
shaking.
그리고 또 심리전이었거든요.
But I'm
그
really
사이에서
happy. I
전진
can't
이동도
express how
많이
happy I am after those
그
games.
이유가 특별히
So it seemed like there were a lot of mind games going on between you two, and you guys both really had these crazy proxy builds. Can you tell us about those?
네.
So when I watch GuMiho's games, he usually just scouts for the proxies around his bases.
네.
But so I went for proxies, but they didn't really work very well
자,
because he
오늘 앞서
scouted.
1경기에서 고병재 선수에게는 아쉽게 패배를 했었어요. 지금 방금 또 이야기를 하시기도 했는데
So when you had your first match against GuMiho, you lost.
패배로 인해서 패자전으로
Let's talk about the third
그때
match.
심리전이 가장 그게 잘했었던 것 같은데
The one
전진 이병렬이
where,
간파한
he
거에
lost to
이어서
Coke
역우공이었잖아요.
It feels like you guys had really extreme mind games on map 3. Oh, it's the most recent map 3, the last map.
네.
맵 자체가 너무 피해를 아예
GuMiho
맵이어가지고
saying,
그래서 좀
well, we actually seen that build a lot on ladder,
지지 않았나 생각해요.
and
하지만 그런
it's
위기들이
kind of
있었지만
hard to
다시
counterattack on that
최종전에서
build.
복수도 했고 또 한희석 선수와의 경기
So
결과도
I
좋았습니다.
kind of fell into his
이렇게 오늘
trap, into his
테란전을
mind games.
통해서 승리를 거두고 올라가게 된 건데 이상하게 이렇게 인터뷰나
So you had all
조지명수
Terran
이런
matches
때에서는 까다로운 상대로 올테란 이렇게 뽑는 그런 약간 이해가 어려운 행동을 하세요. 그 이유는
So
무엇인지.
whenever you've been asking, you always say that Terran is the most difficult match.
해요.
지금 바로 조심하셔야
INnoVation is saying,
오늘 테란전 다
you know,
이기신
I don't
거잖아요.
personally think that I'm very good at TVT matches.
막 실력으로 이렇게
And they're saying, well, you won against Terrans tonight, you beat
태태전에
TY.
선수가 또 많다 보니까
네.
그래서
He said,
그런가 좀 저는 테란 누구를
you know, I think that the reason I advanced is just because I'm lucky.
패태전을 통해서 우승하셨던 이신영
So,
선수가
you know, whoever I
이렇게
have to
말씀을
fight
하시네요.
to
자,
advance,
그러면 다음
if it's a Terran, it's always
기조에서
difficult.
1위 진출자와 만나게 되는데
So you just won against TY earlier at the champion of GSL versus the world. So it's kind of funny to hear you say you struggle so much with TVT.
기억이 안 나요.
김준호 선수가 있고
So do you want to meet Protoss in your
또
next
다른
round?
선수가 있는데 김유진 선수요.
So in Group B, there's 2 Protoss, Hero and SOS. So you must want to meet Protoss, right?
시즌 3의 사나이란 말이
INnoVation
오가고 있습니다.
says, well, I think both are really good players.
생각하세요? 이제 우승도 노려볼 만한 것 같으세요?
가장 약점이
So what are your goals
패패전을
for
끌고
the next
올라왔으니까
round?
네.
Do you still have as your goal to win the whole thing?
그리고 약간 블리즈컨도 약간
INnoVation saying, yeah, since I win a lot of my Terran matches, I think I have a really good chance of
일단은
advancing.
B조에서 누가 올라오든
INnoVation saying, well, you know, I actually just secured my spot in BlizzCon, and since I've already done that, it takes a lot of pressure off.
충분히 더 높이 올라올 수 있을 것 같아요.
네, 이신영 선수가 올해 좋은 성적
you know, I feel like whoever I face in Group B is going to be easier than my round of 16 matches here tonight.
손 안에 넣을 수 있을지 기대가 되는데요. 마지막으로 응원해 주시는 팬들에게 한마디 해주시죠.
So before we close our interview, do you have any words for your fans?
예, 응원해 주셔서 감사하고 마우스가
Thank you for your
하나가
support.
고장 나가지고
네.
지금 다른 걸로 바뀐 건데 또 고장 난 것 같아요.
So my mouse broke a lot tonight, and I had to change it. So it feels like it didn't work that well. I have a lot of struggles.
혹시 마우스
But thank you.
가지고 계신 분
Do you have
있으면
any words for your fans?
직거래로
He says,
사겠습니다.
if any of you guys have the same mouse as I do, if you guys could just lend that mouse to me, I'll pay you for your mouse.
GuMiho 진출한 이신영 선수와 함께했는데요.
Thanks,
오늘 경기
INnoVation.
최종 정리
I don't know what mouse
확인해
you use, but if you want to trade, I am super down for that one. I'll just play every game with INnoVation's broken mouse and still be better. It's the power.
It's all it takes. And INnoVation, even with a different mouse, was able to take out GuMiho. At the end of the day, the curse of the mouse does not take him out tonight.
Lots of curses. If you look at the way these matches resulted, and then you look at maybe some fan predictions, I think Team Liquid editor Munch might want to go to the predictions article and maybe make a few edits for the future ones, because these did not turn out as expected.
Solar coming through crushing was really cool to see. In first place, ahead of the 2 Terrans that definitely were predicted to do very well, GuMiho and INnoVation. And that means that Solar will be facing off the 2nd place player from Group B, whereas INnoVation will face off against the 1st place player.
Well, like INnoVation said, it's hard to imagine games more difficult to win than the games here tonight. Just lots of struggles, but consequently lots of good games. So if you're a player, maybe it's a hard night, but if you're a fan, you got to witness some of the best games of GSL yet. And this is just the start to the round of 16. The future looks even brighter.
So for Group B on Saturday, Tastosis should be back then.
Yep.
I do believe it's going to be Hero, Beyond, SOS, and Bunny. I'm liking Beyond and Bunny's chances, actually. I think the Protosses are going to get bopped.
I think Bunny is a sick underdog, so definitely a possibility for him to make a few upsets. And I think we may have made a few upsets tonight, so if you have any feedback, let us know. You can tweet at RapidCasting or at Brandon Valdez. No, I'm just kidding. At Brendan Valdez with an S on the end. And let us know what you thought about tonight's games. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know we're not Tastoses, but they'll be back pretty soon. And of course, it's still the same GSL regardless of who is or isn't here. Great players across the board and really great games tonight.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in the bunker were saying Solar INnoVation.
Yeah.
And I guess that was really what happened in the end.
They were smart people.
It would be awesome to see Solar and INnoVation to go into the finals and have that happen once again. So
our PD just told us to wrap it up, so I think I'm capable of doing that. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are.